And that's what we're going to be removing today. So as you can see, they're all in the air bricks. Very active hive. I think it's going to be quite a big one. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the air bricks, and then we'll remove some of the stone around it. Probably going to remove that one, that one, that one and that one. That way it doesn't affect the structure. If you can see, it's had some really bad pointing in the past. So we're in the Cotswolds, so generally in the Cotswolds they use white cement and yellow sand to do the pointing work, like that there. That one there has been red sand and white cement, which is why it sticks out like a sore thumb. So we'll knock that out as well, and then we'll put in the pointing work. Once the pointing work goes in, you should really press it all in, and then you brush it so you get a better finish than that's on there. So this all, the old original stuff is all being like brushed in with a brush. It gives it a much better finish. So that's what we're going to do. So first thing first, get the bees out, get the honey out. Then we're going to take the bees down to a beekeeper, and then tomorrow we'll be back and we'll do all the repair work. What we'll do as well to make sure that the bees don't come back is we're going to put insulation around the edge here, and then we're also going to put in some stainless steel wire mesh that's 0.98 millimeters. So anything more than a millimeter and a bee can get through. So basically bees, wasps, flies, nothing's going to get through them air bricks, but it'll still allow the building to breathe. So as you can see, we've started to drill out the actual mortar around the bricks. That mortar there, whoever put that on, all they've done is they haven't raked that out, they've just slapped in some mortar and that just fell out on its own. But as you can see, there's quite a few of the little guys out and about. So people ask us why it takes us 2 days. So obviously the first day is getting all these guys out and getting them, that's the most important thing. Obviously, you know, if you imagine someone comes in, kicks down the door of your house, and you're not going to be happy. So we want to get these out to a hive, get them settled as soon as we can. So that's first and foremost. But secondly, can you imagine trying to rebuild all this if you've got a few bees around you? It's just going to be impossible. So hence the reason why we have to do it on a second day. As you can see, we've removed the first air brick, and there's the beehive inside, and there's quite a few in there. So I'm just about to get the bee hoover out and just get some of them guys out first, just to give us a bit access to the cone. The only trouble is as soon as you start cutting into the cone, which you have to, unfortunately, it'll start weeping honey. When it starts weeping honey, if it gets on the bees will drown themselves. So you want to get as many out as possible before we start doing the cone itself. Right, as you can see there, if I get in, so the actual edge of the actual cone itself runs down here. Now that's a brick wall, you know, you can hear that's a brick wall there, and it's the same on the other side, brick wall. So obviously this is just a square void going through to the air brick inside the building, or what used to be the air brick inside the building. So it's only in this area, and as you can see, there's hardly any honey in there at all. There's some honey up here, but as you can see, there's some fresh larvae there, all the way along there. So this hive has used up a hell of a lot of honey over the winter months, and it's going to take a hell of a lot more to sustain the colony for the next 12 months. I don't think this colony would have survived another 18 months, purely because it's got nowhere else of growing, and there's no extra storage for honey itself. So removing it, I know some people think it's cruel, but removing it not only sorts out the client's issues, because obviously they're allergic to bees, but also will ensure that the successful survival of this colony. So this is one of 2 bags that we've already brought down. As you can see, they're almost half full, but look, there's a couple of bees still on there. They've just followed us down, but there's literally no honey at all in these. They are absolutely really light. You would expect now to have quite a lot of weight, but that cone, as you can see, is completely and utterly devoid of honey. I mean, there is some traces of honey in there, and that's where they put in for when they've been growing the new little bees. But if I just lift that bucket up, you can just see how light it is. And I've got another 2 bags like that still to go. Yeah, shame it wouldn't have survived. Just to show everybody that we've actually got the bees, especially the queen bee. See them all trying to get into the box down there. Really cool, isn't it? That's when you know you've got the queen bee inside. So there's probably about, what, maybe 2 dozen, 3 dozen still flying around. I'm waiting for them to land so I can get access to them. As you can see on the floor, there's a few that are grouping together just to keep warm, and then there's a few dead ones, as you can see over there. Now they're the ones that try and sting you. So what happens is with this suit, they'll actually hook onto the what looks like a cone shape, and because they've got a hook at the end, as they sting and hook into you, as they pull away, they rip themselves in two, I'm afraid. And you'll probably find normally about 150, something like that, from a decent sized one, and that'll try and sting you. That's all to protect the actual hive. And if I just show you, the only thing that's left inside the hive now is right at the very back, which is white cone. So that's the cone that they would have started building, ready for this season to start creating honey. And as you can see, it's right there at the very back. There's no honey in that, it's just white cone. Right, so we've got everything out, and hopefully you can see that vent right at the very end. That's as far as it went up. So we're back on site. This is day 2. We're going to do the building fabric repair work today. So that's the void there. So we've already covered the air bricks with bee-proof mesh. So that's 0.9mm stainless steel. We've got the mortar ready. So it's a standard mortared mix of 4 parts sand to 1 part cement. And as I said yesterday, we're going to use yellow sand, which will marry up with all the brickwork. You can see where someone's done some real dodgy repair work there, and they've used red sand and white cement instead of using the yellow sand. And as you can see, once that dries off, that'll blend in. And instead of rubbing it in along there like they've done there with the trowel, we're actually gonna fit it all in and then lightly brush it over to give it the same effect when it wears in as the rest of the building. Right, so we filled the gap with some insulation. So what this will do, this will stop them coming back, because we've got an extra hive here. So this was the one that I'd mentioned, there's 3 hives. So we've just filled out the area with insulation, and we're going to spray it in a minute with Bee Quick, and that's a repulsive, which will stop anything coming back. Obviously what you'll find out is the other hive will try and come and take any of the traces of honey that's inside it. You will also get wasps, etc., coming back to try and take them as well. So there's the air brick all repaired. As you can see, that mortar's in there, and that looks quite nice actually. I'm quite happy with that. Once that dries in, that'll blend in with the rest of the building. I think it's a real cool job, that is. So there's a close-up view of the repair work. As you can see, mortar's all in. Now, as I said, I'd brushed it all in, so as you can see, it's all nicely smooth in. So you haven't got this where, you know, someone's put a trowel in and dug it all in. If you have a look at the original mortar that goes in, it's all... So we've tried to keep it as original as possible. Obviously at the moment it's sticking out like a sore thumb because it's still wet, but when that dries in, that'll blend in, and with a period of time it'll age as well. Quick tip for you, if you want it to age really quick, what you can do is put on some natural yogurt. Really cheap natural yogurt, and what that'll do is it attracts a fungi that goes around it and it ages the actual mortar quick.